morning, guys. It is National Puppy Day. So if you have a puppy or you want a puppy or just love puppies, it's your day. It is Tuesday, March 23rd, and we are going to be able to describe the tug of war of power or the of power relationship between the kings and the church. So we have a quick do now and then notes, guided practice, and independent practice. So let's get started. So for your do now, you have a chart. You need to answer questions 39 and 40 based on the chart of globalization and life expectancy. So go ahead and pause the video. It might take you more than a few minutes to analyze the chart, which is fine. There's a lot going on there. And then we will come back together. So go ahead and pause your video. All right, sorry, I'm tired. Based on the information in this chart, which country has the highest life expectancy? That would be Japan. So if you look at the chart, you see life expectancy rank, longer life, lower life, and then down here is less globalized to more globalized. So if you look at the very top of the chart, the country that has the longest life expectancy would be Japan. Based on the information in the chart, which statement is most accurate? That would be 2. Switzerland is more globalized than Thailand. So if you find Thailand is here and Switzerland is way up here and way over more on the more globalized side. So that's where that answer comes from. So we only have one vocab word today, and that's pilgrimage, and that's just a review word really because we talked about it when we talked about Islamic civilizations and Muhammad and Mecca and all of that. So this is a pilgrimage is just a journey undertaken to worship at a holy place, which we will continue to talk about, and then we will actually continue to talk about this for several weeks. So you can pause the video and get that typed into your Google Slides. And then this is for you. I would highly recommend that you study this and stay on it because it will be on a quiz at some point. But this was the conflict between Henry II and Thomas Becket. And these are their viewpoints. So King Henry II said that the church should obey the king's authority, while the archbishop said the church should be independent of the state. It should not have anything to do with the government. King Henry said that royal officials like himself, should not be excommunicated or kicked out of the church. And Archbishop Thomas Becket says the church should have the power to kick anyone out of the church. And then King Henry said that priests guilty of crimes should be punished by royal courts. And Archbishop Thomas Becket said that priests should be punished by the church court and shouldn't have anything to do with government court. Then this is a layout of how the Catholic Church works. So in the medieval church, you have the Pope. The Pope is basically, well, not basically, the Pope is the head of the Catholic Church. He's considered like right underneath God, basically. And then he appoints archbishops. And what they do is they are in charge of like a district. So almost kind of like the Pope would be kind of like the president of the church, while the archbishops would be like the governors of the church, of different areas of the church. And then you have bishops who are then in a smaller group, which almost like if you had like a mayor or something like that. And then you have priests that are in charge of individual churches. So there is a hierarchy there, and it's very well organized. But you will also need to know this for the future. So please, please, please hold on to this. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with our guided practice. Elsewhere, similar conflicts were raging between church and state. In England, a long struggle set King Henry II against his old friend Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Henry and Thomas Becket had once been allies. In 1162, King Henry appointed Becket to be the Archbishop of Canterbury. Becket was now the most important bishop in the land. Henry wanted to expand royal power. He thought that Becket would support his policies, but to the king's dismay, Becket grew more loyal to the church then to the state, and Becket resisted Henry's attempt to limit the power and independence of the church. The struggle became so fierce that Becket excommunicated Henry. So again, we have a king getting excommunicated. At last, Henry became so angry that he uttered words that he later regretted. We didn't read my story. Some of his knights believed that the king was calling for Becket's death. They traveled to Canterbury and murdered the archbishop in the church itself. The murder of an archbishop shocked Christendom. Remember, that's the community of Christians. A shrine was set up where Becket had been killed, and the Cathedral of Canterbury became a destination of pilgrimage, a journey undertaken to worship at a holy place. So basically, we are going to answer questions 1 and 2. Question 1 is cause and effect. So what caused Thomas Becket to excommunicate Henry? And then why was Becket considered a martyr and a role model for the church? So go ahead and pause the video and answer these 2 questions. Take about 3 to 5 minutes to do that. All right, so for our answers, what caused Thomas Becket to excommunicate Henry II was that Henry was trying to limit the power of the church, and Thomas Becket didn't like it, so he kicked Henry out of the Catholic Church. Why was Becket considered a martyr and a role model for the church? He was killed because he defended the authority of the church. So he was standing up for the church. Other people thought that Henry was calling for that, or calling for him to be murdered, so they murdered him, and then Becket was known as a martyr. For the rest of your independent practice, you're going to read about trade and the growth of kings in England and France, and answer cause and effect questions, and provide evidence for question 4. Make sure if you're providing evidence, you are using quotations because you are taking text from, or your answer is from the text, so you did not come up with it, so you don't want to plagiarize. Then you have some multiple choice questions that have to do with this entire section, with Otto the Great. And then you have some critical thinking questions that are more open-ended. So for 5, why did so many rulers try to claim the authority of ancient Rome? So why were so many kings trying to claim that their region was the Holy Roman Empire? Why did kings want the right to appoint bishops? So why would King Henry II believe that he should be able to do that? Why did Otto the Great think he could do that? And then 7, what mistakes did Henry II make in his conflict with the church? So what mistakes did he make in dealing with Thomas Becket? And then you are done. Once you are done with those, remember for your turn-in checklist, you need to restate the question. You need to begin with a capital letter and end with a period, and write incomplete sentences. If you have not completed the attendance form, please do that now. Thanks, and I will see you tomorrow.